Hey guys, it's Ghost Queen. I'm making a very sort of informal video today. I'm a mess. I can't even believe I'm putting myself on camera. But I just wanted to pop in. I know there are a few people waiting on me for a few things, so I just kind of wanted to give you a brief update on what's going on with me. Not that I want my camera to focus on me that well, but I'm a hot mess today. But yeah, since I know I have a couple of people waiting on me for a couple of things, I just want to let you know what's going on with me. I had a very stressful day yesterday, a very upsetting day. I'm not going to go into it in too much length quite yet because it's just still kind of raw and fresh. I'm still processing. I'm a slow processor. I don't make hasty decisions. I try not to be very reactionary. I like to process, sit and think and chew on things before I react. So, or even sometimes talk about them. So, I'm just letting you know I did have sort of like a stressful day yesterday. It was traumatic, um, involving some animal abuse, and I felt the need to really get involved. So, I'm glad I did. I think I saved this animal's life and hopefully the lives of a couple other animals, although I don't know yet. So, yeah, I've got a lot going on here. Um, so, just kind of letting you know about that. And yeah, it's just upsetting. It's disturbing. So, anyway, I'll talk about it more when it's not so right there, raw. Um, so I do have Pacas. Some of you who are on my Facebook know about my neighbor's dog Pacas, who hangs around here most of the time. Although he isn't our dog, and I feel that he's been neglected, and it's just went to a whole nother level. So he's here now until I can get him to a shelter, and it's just funny to watch Juju react to this. Um, she knows something's going on, and she like I have pockets tied up on a very long lead. I like a with a stake in the ground and a couple of leads, and I've been feeding him also because he looks emaciated. I haven't wanted to really feed him, because we've been trying to encourage him to stay at his own home. But he's starving, so I fed him. I've been feeding him for the past couple days. So anyway, that's that. But Juju, so because I have him tied up, and that's never the case, she knows something's up, and I think she's concerned he might be moving in, and she doesn't want him to. And I think my camera lens must be dirty. Um, and I've been sort of paying attention to him and hanging with him a little bit, comforting him. And I think she's been upset about it. And I find, I just pay attention to things, and I like to sort of see how everything in the world works. And I'm fascinated with behavior, whether it's humans, animals, whatever. So, yeah, I really, you know, I don't like to see cruelty to animals, to human beings, particularly to women and children and animals, who I feel are very vulnerable. Not to say women are weak, but we don't need to go into that whole discussion today. But at any rate, people have the tendency to pick apart every single thing you say, so you have to be careful what you say. And twist your words around. So you have to be careful. But I do try to look out for specifically women, children, and animals. You know, I've been a single mother and had domestic abuse in my life. So, you know, naturally these are sort of causes I lean toward. And I've always had a thing with animals, you know. I'm the dog whisperer and I'm the animal whisperer in a lot of ways. You know, animals just gravitate toward me and I have a way with them. I have a knack with them. And I think that the main way to develop those types of connections are to be compassionate, empathetic, and loving, and not fearful, and confident, and you just have to have the right personality. You know, I did see an article come out on Facebook that science has proved that dogs, and my dog's being crazy with something in the other room. You better not have gotten another one of those. Ooh, she's being so naughty. She's acting out. Anyway, so they just put out this study. You know, like they did a scientific study. I didn't even read it, truth to be told. Sometimes I just read the you know, the titles of the article rather than the whole article itself. I can't read everything. I read a lot of articles, but I read a lot in general. Excuse me, I'm a reader. And I study things and whatnot, but you know, you can only do so much. So for this, I just saw that it had been proved that dogs can sense bad people, and I do think that's true. I've always known that. So I can remember this one time when I lived in Boston. I lived in the Fenway in an apartment building, and a big dog had gotten out. I don't even remember the breed. I just remember it was a very large, fierce-looking dog, and it had gotten out of somebody's apartment when they weren't there, and it was sort of like holding court, not letting anyone in or out of the building. And I grabbed it, you know, and everyone was terrified. No one would go to the dog, and I grabbed a can of dog food or tuna or whatever I had on hand, and I just, you know, the dog was acting sort of aggressive and territorial, but you have to know how to deal with animals, and for some reason I just always have been able to. So I went and got the dog, and everyone could go in their apartments again, and I put him back in his apartment, and that was that. But they can sense fear, and I do feel like dogs have almost like a sixth sense, and they can sort of, I don't know if it's a hormonal thing or what it is, but they can, you know, maybe if you're fearful and you have a lot of adrenaline, they can smell it perhaps. I haven't studied it particularly well, but I'm assuming that's it. My dog is smalling me because she cannot tolerate I'm making a video for 2 minutes and not paying attention to her. Oh, she's so needy right now. So needy. Yeah, you, Juju. Miss Needy. Miss Pay Attention to Me. She's dealing with a lot. So Podcast is here and she's acting out. And because I've been dealing with these crisis situations and not paying as much attention to her as she'd like, and not bringing her with me every time, and she's not liking it, and she's feeling threatened. Her territory is feeling threatened, so she's trying to very aggressively and in a very dominant way reclaim her territory. And, you know, Juju is one of the best dogs I have ever had, and she's one of the few dogs, she might be the only dog I've ever had that's not a purebred dog. I had 2 sets of 2 Shih Tzus, a Greyhound, and a Newfoundland. My last dog was a Newfoundland. I love big dogs. And I babysat a Great Dane for a long time. And I've taken care of a lot of people's dogs over the years. I'll babysit dogs and whatnot. So Juju, she really is a good dog. I love her. She's a fun dog. She's chock full of personality. She's very high energy, high maintenance, and but the personality, she's very trainable, and but she's just got such a quirky, fun, loving, playful, friendly, sweet, and adorable personality. She's a great dog. I love her. She's funny, and she's mauling me again at the moment. But you can see her, she's pawing me. But I just think it's a little interesting and funny how much like a human child she is. She really is. She's like a human child. And she behaves and acts out in the same way that children do. She is she just turned a year old. So, I kind of consider her pretty young still, like a big puppy. She's not very old yet. And we did adopt her from a shelter, and she put her little paw up, pick me. But she's smart, very smart. And, she knows what the rules are and what the boundaries are and what she can do and what she can't do. So when she's doing something she's not supposed to be doing, by now, I know it's because she thinks she can get away with it or she's acting out. It's not hard to figure out behavior if you just sort of think about it a little bit. So with Juju, and we take care of her well, so she's loved and fed and toys and the whole bit. So medicine and, vet treatment, and she has everything she needs. She's got everything she could possibly want or need. Obviously, I'm not perfect. Some days she probably could use, more exercise or more love or whatever. We're not perfect. But on the whole, she has everything she needs and she's well cared for. And it shows because she's a good dog. But since Pockets has been here, now when she was a puppy, she would chew up a few things. She wrecked a pair of my, guess expensive eyeglasses, and some other things, when we first got her. But after that puppy sort of initial teethy, bitey phase passed, she's been good. She doesn't destroy our things at all. Very rarely. I shouldn't say at all. Very rarely. But this morning, she got a hold of a 3D skull whistle, one of our Aztec death whistles that we made on the 3D printer, and chewed it up and left it at the front door because I was outside with Pacas. That was very deliberate. She went and got it off my desk, chewed it up, left it right by the front door, made sure I would see it. And yeah, that was how she expressed her anxiety and displeasure. So yeah, and you have to be firm and make sure she knows that isn't okay. And she looked very guilty and ashamed, and she didn't get a treat and whatnot. But we've made up since then, so she's being a little bit overly friendly because she's so pleased I've forgiven her. And she doesn't like it when I make videos, just like a child. So yeah, animal behavior, it's fascinating. Just as fascinating as human behavior. Okay, Juju, that's enough. But you do have to have boundaries, and you have to be firm. Ooh, jeez, she just ripped my bloody charger out. So yeah, you have to be firm, and especially with a dog like her, she can be very dominant, very aggressive, pushy, and she will try to control you if you don't control her. So, and you catch way more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So, I'm a huge fan of positive reinforcement when it comes to kids and animals. And so rather than discipline her a lot, we try to give her a lot of positive reinforcement and training. Um, and that works better to get the kind of behavior that you want. So, just some interesting stuff I'm sharing today. It's the same thing with people. Um, you know, it's a big thing right now that people love to throw around the term narcissist. I see people calling people narcissists left and right. They're a narcissist. That one's a narcissist. That one's a narcissist. It's like, I've seen this every few years. It's like this psychology term will sort of leach into the public's, groupthink, and everyone will start using the term. But I don't think everyone's a narcissist, so it gets a little silly after a while that everybody's running around calling everyone else a narcissist. Narcissists are really hard people to deal with, and I do believe my mother is a narcissist. She hasn't been diagnosed, but I've studied it enough that I feel fairly certain she's a narcissist. And they're very difficult people to deal with. Really, really hard. And unfortunately, if you're parented that way, a lot of times you seek out partners that are that way as well. And it's a pattern that you have to break after a while. And it's tough. It's hard work, and you have to get a lot of help and do a lot of studying and learning, to understand that kind of psychology. And I have. And the same with narcissists. You have to set very, very clear boundaries about how you allow yourself to be treated and what you won't tolerate and what you will and what you expect and whatnot. And it can be really hard work, because if you even one time don't follow through, then they'll really take advantage of you, and they're very scheming, and everything that they do is focused on, how is this going to benefit me? How can I benefit from this situation or this person? Or that's what it's all about. That's the whole deal. So they can be very manipulative and deceitful and scheming, and I'm not thinking of a lot of great adjectives at the moment, but you get the picture. So yeah, and there's a lot of codependent people out there. I've dealt with my own issues of codependency, and for people that are codependent, you have to be very careful and very mindful to make sure that you set really clear boundaries, because people like us, we have trouble setting those boundaries. Usually we allow people to just walk all over us a little bit too much, and that's not good. And then you learn over time you can't do that, and you have to set boundaries. So it's very important. The same thing with raising children or raising animals or training animals. You have to set clear boundaries. And, I'm not a huge fan of the word discipline. You have to be very structured and assertive and confident and sympathetic and empathetic and compassionate and loving and caring. And, you can get a lot more of the type of behavior you want to see with positive reinforcement rather than negative. But these are some of my thoughts. I'm always sharing my thoughts. I always think about things. I overthink and analyze. That's just who I am. it is what it is. So yeah, Friday. As I say, I know a few people are waiting to hear from me on a few things. Please be patient with me. It was a really traumatic day yesterday. Um, so that's it. The computer thing got a little screwed up too. My fault. So I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do there. So I'm not positive if I'm going to stream this weekend or not. Wayne did say he would let me use my computer if I want to stream. But we'll see. I do have a couple videos I'm working on making as well. I have a billion things to do, but I know when to take a minute when I've dealing with a lot and I'm feeling overwhelmed um, and yesterday definitely shook my tree. So I'm kind of just taking a minute to regroup here. So that's it, guys. Yeah, it's sometimes things can just really make you think, and when you're dealing with chaotic situations, a lot of times that sort of can just jar you for a minute and be like, wow, you never know. Things can go awry like so easily and so quickly, and um, you just never know what's around the corner. No one does unless you can foresee the future. And actually, I can do that a little bit at times, but um, in weird ways. So yeah, we never know what's waiting for us around the corner. So it's really good to appreciate each and every day. Appreciate your life, carpe diem, and all that good stuff. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm dying of thirst here because I was out in the heat all morning, sweating, losing all my hydration. Oh, God, I love those blood orange Pellegrinos. So that's it, guys. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm sure you will see me one way or another over the weekend. And yeah, be safe, be happy, be loving, be kind, be helpful. And until next time, I bid you adieu.